Hey friend, and welcome to the Camera Brave Show. My name's Marissa, and I help people fearlessly create content and find their own beautiful voice. In this show, we talk all about strategy, mindset, and confidence, not to mention the power of storytelling through my personal favorite thing, video. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's dive right in. Hello, friend, and welcome back to another episode of the Camera Brave Show. My name is Marissa, your video marketing coach, teaching you how to take videos and feel confident on camera. This is episode number 40, which is just so exciting. And I'm going to dedicate this podcast and the next podcast to talking entirely about creating a podcast in itself. I've been getting a lot of questions inside of my membership group and just on my Instagram page, where I'm seeing a lot of entrepreneurs getting more curious about what it takes to start their own podcast and wondering exactly what sort of work has to go into it, because I get it, we're busy entrepreneurs. Is this a good fit for you? So this is going to be a two-part episode. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the brain work and the reflective work that goes into creating the pillars of your podcast. Next week, episode 41, I will talk about the actual assets that you're going to have to build, things like your intro, your cover art, the description, and how to actually build things out. This episode is going to be all about the brain work and essentially the brain dump that you're going to do to, first of all, decide if you should create a podcast. And second of all, decide if that's a yes to the first question, what your pillars are going to be for your show. If you're able to, please grab a pen and a piece of paper so that we can work on getting a clear direction for your podcast. I'm going to review 5 questions that you should first listen to this episode. If you're able to pause it and answer them as you go, that would be amazing. If not, then screenshot the show description. I'm going to write all 5 key questions in there. And then when you have some time, set aside the space to actually go through and answer these questions, because that's how you're going to get the most out of this episode. Not just listening to what the questions you should ask yourself are, but actually digging into them. Because even if you decide you don't want to do a podcast and you want to go another direction, these are still really valuable reflections that you can do. I'm a big goal setter. I am a huge advocate for setting goals. The thing with goals is it's not something that you can set and forget. You're constantly going back and reevaluating what your goals are depending on what season of life you're in. So podcast or no podcast, this is a great exercise for entrepreneurs. The first question that you are going to ask yourself is, what is my mission statement? It can be 1 sentence, it can be 5 sentences, whatever that mission statement is for you and your business. This is essentially trying to boil down what it is that you do in just a short little description. When someone asks you, what's your business about? What do you tell them? I'm going to give you some examples using my business to help you with this exercise. So my mission statement for Camera Brave is teaching entrepreneurs how to take videos and how to build their confidence on camera. That mission statement has slightly changed from when I first started my business. When I first started my business, my mission statement was teaching entrepreneurs how to get confident on camera and take stunning photos and videos. It was just a little bit longer, a little bit wordier, and I feel like there were too many points in there. So I've reworked this statement just to make a little bit more sense for the journey that my customer goes on. So I teach them how to take videos, and then the truth is they learn to build their confidence along the way. So to me, it just made more sense to rework it and put it in that specific order. I also took off taking stunning photos and I just left it at video. A lot of the principles that I teach can absolutely be used to take beautiful photos. And I think photography is an important component in videography. However, I just wanted to be super specific so people know, okay, video, she's my girl. Camera Brave, that's all sorts of things video. I also typically help entrepreneurs take videos for social media. However, that's not necessarily a part of my mission statement, but I just know that that's where most of my audience is, that they are entrepreneurs that either have an established business or are starting their business, and they are already on social media looking to grow their presence. So first of all, that couple of sentence mission statement, take a minute, write it down. The second question to ask yourself, what problems does your audience have? What are their pain points? This can also be thought of as what keeps them up at night. And these can be simple or they can be deeper. It really depends on what your product or service is. So what are the pain points that your audience experiences? Some of the things that my audience experiences that I know keeps them awake at night or that they really struggle with is feeling terrified to take video. That's the case for a lot of people that have never taken video before. They build up this very intimidating narrative of being judged or not being able to speak well enough or no one watching. And there's this entire very scary sort of narrative that they've created. So I know that fear is definitely a pain point for them. I also know that a lot of them don't feel that they're enough of an expert to be able to speak on their topic on camera. So what sort of pain points does your audience have? Another thing that my audience struggles with is feeling overwhelmed. There's so many different aspects of video. What sort of equipment? Where should I be posting on social media? Where do I literally even start? That overwhelm is something that I think goes across a lot of industries, especially for coaches. So really think about and reflect what the pain points of your audience are. Question number 3, how do you help solve those pain points? I know this is a super basic exercise, but it is powerful to do this every so often in your business because you're constantly reassessing, especially in the beginning. So number 1, your mission statement. Number 2, what problem does your audience have and their pain points? And number 3, how do you solve that problem? What products do you have that help them overcome those pain points? So for me, I have a 6-week course, Camera Brave Academy, and that is where I teach entrepreneurs how to develop their message mindset and essentially take the focus off of the fear and focus instead on the content and just creating something. And even if they feel terrified, just getting through that video one at a time for the whole 6 weeks until at the end, they finally think, okay, this isn't so bad. I also have a monthly coaching group where I teach different trainings on different social media video types. For example, Instagram Reels, TikTok. We're just about to do a training on podcasts this month. So all the things that they're needing to know the exact steps of how to create, that is something that I teach in my monthly group. So that is how I address the overwhelm of not knowing where to start. Please excuse my voice. There is some terrible pollen in this area. I actually pushed back recording this episode by one day because I was so messy yesterday. You know, when you just get allergy gunk in your head and there's just not much you can do about it. Well, please excuse the scratchiness in my voice. And to all of you going through allergies, I feel your pain. We'll get there. I know I'm in Florida, so it's pollen season, the pollinating. So once we're through the other side of that, all will be good. So how do you solve this problem for your audience? What are the products and services that you offer that help get them through those pain points? Your 4th question, now that we've talked all about you, let's talk about your audience. Who is your ideal audience? My ideal audience is an entrepreneur that is already on social media that maybe has either never started video and does not know where to start, or they've maybe tried video, but they've never really done anything that special with it. They're like lukewarm, comfortable on camera, but they maybe have a show or an idea or some big exciting adventure that they don't quite have the confidence to step into yet. That is my ideal audience. Take some time to think about who your ideal audience is. Now, this may shift. When I first started, I didn't really know. I just thought, I don't know, business owners. But then as my business continued to grow, I started to really get a better idea of who your audience is. So there's really no pressure to get any of this perfect. But what you're going to do with these first 4 questions is get a little bit more familiar with your area of expertise and then use that to build the pillars of your show. Now that you know who your audience is, what they're struggling with, and how you help them, how can you create that into pillars for your podcast? I recommend starting with 4 pillars. just because your show is going to evolve, it's going to reform itself as you continue to go along, and it's completely fine to evaluate those pillars as you continue to grow. The 4 pillars of my show are, and I just reestablished these pillars now that I'm at 40 episodes, but the 4 pillars of the Camera Brave show are entrepreneurship mindset, things like investing in yourself, headspace, realizing your potential over your fear, setting boundaries, digging deep after things like burnout, goal setting, all of those things that have to do with more entrepreneurship mindset. My second pillar is presenting on camera. These are things like energy, authenticity, building confidence, getting over being terrified of video, how to prepare for interviews, message mindset, preparation over perfection, all of those topics. Now, that was a pillar that I knew from day one was going to be super important. But as my show evolved, I realized that second pillar of an entrepreneurship mindset was also super important. That was not one of my original pillars, but as the show continued to grow, I realized that this is something that my audience is really connecting with, is watching me on my entrepreneurship journey and following along and learning themselves with me. So those are my first two pillars. My third pillar is video logistics. So these are all internal things. These aren't things that are posted on my website or that are in the show description, but they are something that I want to share with you, because what you're building, you're going to take these pillars and make them into the verbiage that will connect with your audience inside of your show description. More on that in the next episode. So you will not see the term video logistics anywhere. However, this is where I'm talking about things like where to post. This episode right now, the logistics behind a podcast, how to batch create content, creating content outlines, all of those sort of more video technique logistic things. That is pillar number 3 of my show. And then pillar number 4 is storytelling, connecting with other people, bringing on people for interviews and telling their story. And that is the next exciting adventure of the Camera Brave show, bringing on guests and sharing their story with you guys so that you can feel inspired. And because just the art of storytelling is what drove me to create this show. So that's a pillar that I'm very, very excited to add. So you are going to take those 4 questions and build your pillars. Now, the 5th question, which may be the most important to determine if you are going to move forward in the podcast, if a podcast makes the most sense for you. What are your business goals? You need to know what your business goals are before you determine if you're going to start a podcast, because podcasts are good for so many things, but they are not going to produce income right up front, just to be completely transparent with you guys. The way that you can build your podcast to produce revenue is to have an established enough audience and good enough analytic numbers and downloads for advertisers to see the value in paying you to have a commercial or an ad on your podcast show. So that is going to take time. If your number one goal is revenue, then I don't think a podcast should be your next step. However, here's what a podcast is really good for. Podcasts are great top of funnel. If you're not familiar with the marketing funnel, essentially you have your top of funnel things, which are free things that your audience experiences to learn about you. That way they can build this know, like, and trust factor and move further along into your funnel, where at the bottom you have a more meaty offer, something that you sell, maybe a higher ticket item, but people aren't going to buy unless they know, like, and trust you. Podcast is an excellent top of funnel resource. Another benefit is being able to become a better speaker through doing podcast episodes. This will 100% improve your ability to speak. I think that it will translate across so many different areas of my life. I know that it's helped me build my confidence as a show host, and I know that it'll allow me to confidently approach new people to bring them on for interviews. Another benefit, you establish yourself as an expert and an authority. So while it may not be producing income, it can lead to opportunities that can generate revenue. It can allow you to connect with your audience where they don't feel like they have to pay you. They can just get to know you. They can get to know your teaching style. They can understand how you can help them. And then when you have that next offer, they're going to be a warm audience. They're not cold to it. And they're going to be much more likely to either get on your email list or at least get further along in your marketing funnel to some capacity. So you're really able to establish yourself as an expert and an authority by becoming a podcast host. You're also able to conduct interviews and stories, which is an excellent way to get in front of other people's audiences. So you bring other people onto your show and then you guys record the episode. And then when you post the episode, they're telling their audience, you guys have got to check out this show. So now you're getting this cross promotion in front of someone else's audience for free. So it's a very resourceful marketing tool in that aspect. This is one of the things that I really love about having a podcast is this content is in my hands. This is my content. If Instagram went down tomorrow, that would not affect my episodes. Instagram goes down tomorrow. I have no control over losing all of my reels and all of my IGTV, like the 3 that I've done. They're all gone if Instagram shuts down tomorrow. Now, my podcast is on several different directories based off of one hosting platform. More on that next week. If that hosting platform crashed, I would be very sad. But I still have 40 episodes recorded and saved to my computer. 40 episodes. I can take those and rebuild anywhere. So it's not in the hands of Meta, Facebook. It's not in the hands of some, social media fad. It's in my hands. And that makes me feel comfortable and helps me put this at the forefront every single week. Like, this is important to me because I know it's not just going to reach my people on Instagram, my people on TikTok, my people on YouTube. This is going to reach people on so many different directories, so many different platforms. And another reason I really wanted to start a podcast is because in the beginning, when I first started my business, I was going to podcasts like crazy. I found so much value inside of podcasts. And I knew that there were going to be entrepreneurs in the same exact position as me, but they need some help knowing that showing up on video is an excellent resource for them. So the value that I was finding inside of podcasts and the comfort that I was finding inside of podcasts is what prompted me to start my own show as well. Because there's something really intimate about a podcast that I deeply appreciate because it's separate from social media. It's not public. There's no comments or likes or follows or any numbers that you guys can even see. It feels like it's just one-on-one and it's me talking with you. It's me bringing you stories and interviews. And there's something that I find so comforting in that. You can download the episode. You don't have to share it. You don't have to like it. You can just listen. You can listen to it a million times if you want. And I really find comfort inside of that. Here's another benefit of having your own podcast. There are a lot of fleeting wins in business. If you launch something and it does really well, it's so exciting in that season. But a couple of seasons down the road, you have to have another win to feel fulfilled and to keep going. But when it comes to something that you're continually building, you're continually getting satisfaction from it. So I have a deep satisfaction in getting to the number 40 episodes. For 40 weeks in a row, I have come up and spoken on the Camera Brave Show. I have created podcasts of value. I've watched my audience grow, and every single week I've talked to you guys. There is something deeply satisfying in that no one can take from me. That even if I'm not having an excellent month as far as leads or revenue or all of the things that we focus on as entrepreneurs, I know that my hard work is continuing to grow, and that is rewarding for me. Alrighty, my friend, I've got one more piece of advice for you. Do not wait. Do not wait until you have a large enough audience. Do not wait until you feel like you're more of an expert or until you get that certification. Do not wait until 2 hours magically open up inside of your week because that's never going to happen. Do not wait until you have the time. Do not wait until you have a list of 500 different content pieces. Do not wait until you have the perfect blog, the perfect channel, the perfect cover art, the perfect show name, the perfect anything. If you feel that it is in line with your goals for your business, if it makes sense for you to start a podcast, do not wait. Start before you're ready. All it takes is a microphone. All it takes is a microphone. You have it within you to be resourceful and smart enough to figure out how to start a podcast today. So if this is aligned with your goals, do not wait. Podcasting is such a valuable resource for coaches. You are able to establish yourself. You're able to become a better speaker. You're able to grow your confidence week after week. And it also allows for your audience to enter your marketing funnel and to see how valuable you are, how much knowledge you have. I hope that when you listen to this show, you think, that girl knows so much about video. I don't have to be an expert on everything. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on entrepreneurship or even on podcast hosting. But when it comes to video, I know that I know my stuff. And I hope that you listen to this episode and you think, or if you listen to this show and you think, that girl knows a lot about video. So maybe you don't buy anything from me. Maybe you're still at my top of funnel marketing bubble. But when you think, you know what? I've got to take the next step and I've got to get this YouTube series going. I've got to get started. You know who to contact. You know enough of my voice. You feel comfortable enough with me to slide into my DMs on Instagram and for us to have a conversation about how we can get that show up and running for you. Because you know that I am the expert in your head. I'm in your mental Rolodex as that video marketing camera brave lady. That is the value of having a podcast, not having the income or the monetization aspect, but being able to get in someone's mental Rolodex for free. So that way, when their time comes, when they're ready to solve that problem, they go to you. That's the value of having a podcast. If you're wanting a detailed step-by-step, how the heck to start a podcast, I have a training that I'm just about to release inside of the Camera Brave Club, which is my monthly coaching group. So if you are needing the step-by-step follow along, this is how you upload. This is how you get your RSS feed. This is BuzzFeed, which is what I use. Oh no, Buzzsprout. It's Buzzsprout, not BuzzFeed. I do that so often. It's ridiculous. I use Buzzsprout to host my podcast. And in this training, I show you exactly how to do that. I show you the checklist for following along exactly what assets you need. And if that is something that you are interested in, if you're like, I need to push the go button on this podcast, I just need a little bit more direction. I just need to see how it's done. I need to know exactly what it's going to look like every single week. Then go on over to camerabraveclub.com. You can get on my wait list there and I will send you an email when my group is open, because this is a very valuable training. And I know that it can be so overwhelming when we decide to do something new. And I have seen 2 women inside of that group. One of them is launching this month, which I'm so excited for. The other one is on the fence. She's considering launching. And then I have another who's just kind of playing with the idea of possibly doing it. So I know that this is something that entrepreneurs are thinking about. I know there's a lot of value here. And if you're just needing a community of people in the same position that you're in, if you're needing the step-by-step training, please go check out the club. This would be the space for you to learn and to grow. Thank you so much for listening in with me, friends. Next week, stay tuned for part 2, where I'll break down the assets that you need to collect. This is how to build your pillars, how to decide if it is aligned with your goals. And if it is, please stay tuned for next week, because that's when we're going to get into the action steps. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, everyone. As always, you can find me over at Camera Brave on Instagram, Facebook, and now TikTok. Hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you next time on the Camera Brave Show.